Um, welcome to Calabasas High School Advanced Placement European History. I really hope this is recording. I tried it yesterday with someone with the LVUSD email account, and then I just tried. My wife tried to get on, and it said she was outside the network. So hopefully this works. If not, I will be posting a video. I apologize in advance if it doesn't work. So first of all, the purpose of this meeting, this webinar, is provide a brief introduction of expectations for the AP European History course, provide a brief overview of the AP European History course, address frequently asked questions regarding the course and the tests, and address modifications made for virtual classroom and explain why. That's the big one, and I have a lot of students this year who had older siblings come through, and my class is going to be structured quite differently, at least as long as we're virtual. My background, the one thing on here that I think is really relevant to this class is the last 2 years I've graded DBQs for the College Board, around 680 this year, and then last year I graded 970 in Kansas City. So I've been trained. I know what the rubric is. I know what counts and what doesn't count. So yeah, when we have back to school night, I'm going to be focusing more on my personal reasons for teaching in the background, so you get to know me a little bit better. The purpose of this night, in respect for everyone's time, is just to explain the expectations of the course and strictly focus on the curriculum. First of all, APEURO pros and cons. It is a college level class. It is seen by the College Board as a college level class. It is not a college prep class, which means the expectations coming in are pretty high, and I'm going to hold the bar pretty high, even though we are virtual. Students will primarily demonstrate their learning in their grade through traditional multiple choice testing and essay writing. Due to the virtual nature of this, I'm going to be focusing the grades more heavily on the writing, which actually helped my students last year, which I'll get to in a second. It's going to be difficult to do lengthy simulations and oral presentations that they might get in a college prep class. We will do some things on a smaller scale, but we have to cover a lot of history. The College Board curriculum, they use an auditing process, which means all teachers that teach an AP class have to submit the curriculum, what they plan to do for the year, and the College Board either signs off or rejects it. This class has been approved by the College Board. Los Virgenes Unified uses a weighted 5-point scale for this course. So if students get an A, it's 5.8 towards their GPA, a B is 4, and so on and so forth. The AP European exam is on May 7th, 2021. So our time is already, we don't have till the end of the year to get through all the material. The AP course, APEURO, it covers 1450 to the present. So it's pretty much anything European history is fair game. There are there's 4 periods that it's broken up into. There are certain themes that emerge in the APEURO curriculum. Interaction of Europe and the world, poverty and prosperity, objective knowledge. I mean, they rebranded it about 5 or 6 years ago. It's basically political, economic, religious, social, intellectual, artistic, and then the interaction element of it. So when I say all history from 1450 to present, students aren't going to know everything, but they're going to know a lot. The historical thinking skills that foster critical analysis and interpretation. We've already started working on this. Today and yesterday, students worked on causation and creating a thesis, crafting an argument based on their reading. So we've already started working on that, and we're going to continue. We're working on interpreting and analyzing documents starting tomorrow. So we're hitting the ground running. We have a lot to do. The exam, I'm operating, and the way I structured this class is to prepare students for the AP test. I'm working under the assumption that if you sign up for AP, that you are an AP class, you're planning on taking the AP test. So everything has been adjusted accordingly. I've backward planned from May 7th. I've built in, I think it's 3 weeks of review before the AP test. We will cover all 9 of the units with the Spielvogel textbook. We will complete all of those right before spring break, and then when we come back, we'll have those few weeks to review, practice, and get ready for the AP test. Having all that said, students are not required to take the test. I had quite a few students not take the test. Well, not quite a few. I had like a handful that chose not to take the test last year. It's fine. they still did everything. They got a lot out of the course and had a great year. The exam itself is 3 hours and 15 minutes long. There is I think it's a 10-20 minute break in the middle, but it is 55 multiple choice, stimulus based multiple choice questions. I'm going to be giving the test via Google or AP Classroom. So it's a relatively new program. They launched it last year. And so students will get exposed to that. They are very, very difficult questions. It's not just like who did this, who did that. It's more like seeing connections um, and analyzing documents, and then getting things from that. If your students are struggling with it, I encourage them to set up office hours with me, and I can go over it. If you have questions or concerns, we can set up a meeting, and I can go over that with you when we get to that point. There are three short answer questions answered in 40 minutes. It's roughly 20% of the exam score, or it is 20% of the exam score. There's one document based question with 7 documents and one long essay question with no documents. They will be answered in an hour and 40 minutes. So, the just so you're aware, last year, because of the COVID, College Board got rid of almost everything from the exam and they gave a 45-minute DBQ with 5 documents. So I focus all year on the writing for a variety of reasons. One, it's worth the most, and it's what you can control. Second thing is it's something that transcends. Like, I haven't had too many multiple choice questions in my life, but I write a lot. So and the analysis that you need when doing the writing is really important, in my opinion, and it transcends into current events and whatnot. It's kind of it was looking back at the numbers. I had more students pass with higher scores than I've ever had before last year when it was just the DBQ. So that shows that what I've been focusing on has been paying off. Um, yeah, important dates. I'm going to put these on Google Classroom. The students are already aware of them. On Friday, October 30th, I know that's a couple months away, but as a parent of two, I like being told when things are going to be due. If you decide to have your child take the AP test, Friday, October 30th at 11:59 p.m. is the deadline to pay for the exam without a $50 late fee. Friday, November 6th, the registration ends at 11:59 p.m. If your child is not signed up for the AP test, it's too late. You technically have until Monday, November 9th to pay for the exams if you signed up for it. And then Friday, November 13th is the last day to cancel an exam with the $50 late fee. So you can still cancel it if you want. I'm assuming by Halloween, the students will want to take the test and it won't change in 2 weeks' time. If you have any questions about this, whether the test is a good choice for you or for your student, please email me. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about that if you have any questions. We are in the process of signing up for AP Classroom so that students can take tests. I've been focused on grading and wrapping my head around the virtual classroom this year, but we are going to be focusing on that in Classroom, and I'm going to have an additional support period to help students if they need it in the next week or so. You're going to hear, if this is your child's first AP class, they're probably you're going to start hearing things: fives, fours, threes, passing, stuff like that. The College Board uses a 5-point scale on the total composite score of all the different components of the AP test. A 3 is considered passing by the College Board. It's equivalent to a C in college. 4 is equivalent to a college level B. 5 is equivalent to a college level A. When your child goes to apply for colleges, depending on the college, they will accept only 4s or higher, 5s. It has to be outside the major, inside the major, whatever. Each college is different. But you could potentially, if your student passes the Euro test, the APUSH, any science, math, whatever, English, they could potentially start college as a second semester freshman or maybe even a sophomore. I had a student years ago who went to Ohio State, and I believe he started on his transcripts, he started as a sophomore. So he could have graduated 3 years, but I think he started taking grad level classes, saving thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. College is expensive. Pass scores, just to what we're talking about with how many students have passed the test. When I first started, it was very much you had to score certain things or perform at a certain level in order to get into the class. There's only like 2 or 3 sections. I think there was 2 sections my first year, which was 2015, teaching this class. In 2020, last year, I had 197 students take the, or 196 take the test. 140 students passed, 91 with a score of 4 or higher, which is the most I've had since teaching this class. And again, I think that's because I focus so much on the writing. I know the pass rate's like around 71%, I believe, maybe 72%. Um, but I don't really care about the pass rate as much because even students that didn't pass, I read their essays and they were solid. They made good arguments. They just didn't quite meet where the rubric said was passing. So I feel confident that all the students that took this class moving forward are going to be able to do really well in any social studies class, college level, and their writing has improved a lot. Um, Final exams. This is a little tricky because I'm not sure what's going to be happening with virtual and whatnot. But traditionally, the final exam at the end of the first semester is a comprehensive test of everything up to date, but it's all written. There's no multiple choice for the first semester final. And the reason for that is the AP test traditionally is handwritten. It's all handwritten. So if a student is not used to writing for 2 hours straight, that is a new experience. So I'm trying to mimic throughout the year different ways of replicating what the process of taking that test is. And in my opinion, writing for 2 hours straight is something that it's an experience that if you haven't had, it's good to practice. That's a lot of grading for me, by the way. But second semester final will be administered on a Saturday prior to the AP test. We had to cancel that last year because of COVID, but that's the plan. Hopefully, we can do that. I will be doing review sessions. I was doing office hours virtually. I think the earliest one was like 6:30 in the morning or something because that was the only time students could meet. I will work with the students. After the AP test on May 7th, we do a life skills project where the students practice budgeting, simple budgeting, emergency preparedness things. If you're interested in that, I can send you more information. It's I normally get pretty good feedback from it. That students they know how to turn off the water main if their pipe bursts, turn off the gas main if there's an earthquake, stuff like that. I walk them through the processes. The course website, I normally have my own website. This year, because of virtual learning, I've switched completely to a Google Classroom. Um, I have Google Classroom. The website has something called a reading guide for each unit. I will post it on the last day of the unit to the day of the test. I will post the reading guide. I've been getting a few emails from parents asking like, "What's the homework? Like, do they not have homework? Why aren't they doing anything?" So I'm going to briefly explain this in a second. The reading guides need to be handwritten unless there's extenuating circumstances. I had a student break his wrist or hand last year, so he typed. Um, but if you have any questions about that, you can email me. The reason is, again, the AP test is handwritten. So most students are doing more of this than writing. So it's straight like physical exercise practice of writing. I can help students plan ahead with time. I've already had, I think, 2 or 3 meetings with students during office hours since the start of the school year because they feel like they're overwhelmed already. And I'll meet with them with all the other stuff that they're doing in their other classes and break down what to do when, how to do it, and break it up into small pieces. So I do that. I'm happy to do it. It helps students. And usually, if I help them once or twice at the beginning of the year, they don't need help again for the rest of high school in terms of budgeting time and time management. Um, I have all test dates for the year posted in Google Classroom. As I mentioned earlier, I've backwards planned for May 7th. I know the day of every test. I know I have a rough idea of what we're going to be doing each day within reason. And that's that. Please have students use their at lvusd.org email address. If it doesn't, I think that's why maybe people aren't able to watch this video or this live stream. I hope they are. This is what the reading guide looks like. So if you look carefully, I created a code this year and the students should understand it at this point. This was last week and then today as well. So the agenda, this is the focus of what we're working on each day. And then what we're doing here is the agenda of what's going on. And then this is the homework. So the second day was a lot of homework, but the stuff was like finish the summer work, turn it in, things like that. Most days the assignments are going to be like this. So if your son or daughter ever says, "I don't have any homework" in Euro, you can look at it. And so, like for today, it's to watch video 1.4, which I'm posting them on YouTube, where I might post this video. RG is reading guide 1.4. There's questions at the end of the reading guide, and then the reading of page 318 to 322 in the Spielvogel textbook. I will be perfectly honest on YouTube. I'm not an influencer by any means or YouTuber, but I can see how many views each video has, and I've posted 4 videos already in a week for this class, and I can see the most views of 187 students. I think I have the most views I have for one is 97, and I've been going over. I went over, where is it? I had it here. I went over how to. I had a video here. I thought I put it in. I must have updated it later. I did a video on how to do short answer questions, which it was on the quiz on Monday, and a lot of students, it was clear they didn't watch the video. I went over how to write a thesis, the steps to writing a thesis, very introductory. I've gone over some content already, and then I just posted one for document analysis. And when we get into the small groups sessions, which I'm going to talk about in a second, if students haven't watched the videos or haven't done the reading, they're kind of lost. Not kind of, they're lost. And the time we spend in class is not utilized as well as it could be. So please encourage I'm trying to keep them below 15 minutes. I think the longest one I have so far is 17. Shortest is like 9. So please encourage them to watch the videos as they're assigned, because it could help. I will be using Google. I already did that. That's the same slide. Okay, essay writing. We're going to go over strategies that will help students write, how to write a strong thesis, how to outline intellectual thought, write using academic language. I use the College Board grading rubric, which I'm very familiar with, having graded over 1,000 essays the last couple of years. And then I think it's important. A few years ago, I did the same presentation or similar presentation, and a parent came up and said, "You're just teaching to the test. That's horrible. Why are you just teaching the test?" And I understand where it came from because I talk so much about the test, but in reality, what we're doing is, in their thesis, for example, I'm teaching them how to create a counter argument. So they don't have to necessarily agree with it, but if they have evidence for something, they have to have evidence to back up whatever they're saying. They can't just make a broad statement, which we've been exploring the last 2 days in my class. But they also have to address that there's a counter. So just because they're arguing one thing, the complexity part of it or piece is that they can agree that there is another argument out there. Now, these are all historical arguments. So today, for example, we focused on a prompt, the impact the Black Plague had on the Catholic Church. And so they were kind of wrestling with this idea of, did it hurt the church? Did it help the church? And really going deeper than just looking at the definition or reading. So while they are technically working on a thesis for this rubric, it transcends any test. That's why if students don't take the test, it's not a big deal. They're going to learn so much and improve so much at writing and analysis throughout the year. Hopefully I haven't lost you if you're still watching. PACE and course materials. I really try to start with foundational skills early, and I do it piecemeal until the students kind of master that, and then I put it together. So they're not going to be writing full essays for a month or so, but we've already started on thesis writing, short answer question responses. We're starting on document analysis tomorrow. We'll continue practicing that with the content over the next 2 to 4 weeks. And then I will introduce the essay writing where they put all those skills together. So that's my approach in general with teaching this class. And then the content will increase and the skills will kind of fall off in terms of me going over them, because the assumption is the students will have mastered the skills and they can focus more on the content. We're going to be using primarily this textbook, which is the Spielvogel Western Civilization. There are other books that I will use, but I'll scan and upload pictures of primary source documents and things of that nature. Grading system's pretty standard. I do total points. I don't do weighted grades. And this is a rough estimate. I'm kind of changing it around a little bit because of the nature of virtual learning. The reading guides, I already showed you a picture of the reading guides, will be provided for each unit covered. They will include enduring understandings, vocab terms, essential questions to guide the reading, all the applicable hub dates, which will get, the students don't know what that is yet, a reading guide calendar for the unit, etc. Students are responsible to complete all homework and reading before class. There will be periodic short answer questions in the form of reading checks. I am going to be doing SAQ quickfire, short answer question quickfires, which I taught them yesterday and today, depending what class they're in. So the reading guides are due on the day of the test. So even though I break up what they're doing each day and they're handwriting answers to questions, I'm going to collect them on the day of the test, and then I will grade them, enter them in Aries, and then they will have the test, and I will post a new reading guide so that they can get started. Attendance. This is tricky with the Zoom and the virtual learning. I've had a few students whose internet goes out. I'm being very lenient, or I shouldn't say lenient. I'm trying to be very understanding of it. My Zoom went out yesterday afternoon, so we switched to Google Meets. I have a contingency plan in place, but um, that's that. So the thing I've done in the past is I've had a lot of students take advantage of being sick on test days and just giving themselves buying a couple extra days of testing or of studying. And I put in my syllabus that if you are absent on the day of the test, then you would not be eligible for the curve. And all students want the curve. It's a pretty generous curve. I'm switching that up a little bit because of the nature of virtual learning. I'm going to be grading on tiers. So if they miss a certain number of questions, it will be a certain grade in Aries um, to discourage cheating. I don't round up grades. Um, there's no curve in the class. I do curve tests, and I'm going to do the tiered system. If you have questions about that, you can reach out to me. It was yeah, it was something I wrestled with this summer, but okay. Academic honesty. Parents and students have been asked to fully review the academic dishonesty documentations included with the course syllabus. Um, Homework is to be handwritten to discourage cut and paste practices as well as physical task of writing. Um, I expect them not to share quiz or test information with other students. And I really want them to encourage them to improve on writing and their knowledge of content and analysis. And if they just Google things, that's a problem. I know I'm going to be emailing students because when I was going through the short answer questions that they took on Monday, there were quite a few answers that were verbatim from the first thing that pops up on a Google search. So I just want to make it clear that that's not okay in my class. That's not the expectation. Um, I give partial credit, so if they would have tried and not cheated, it would have helped. But the last part is cheating, encouraging cheating, or defending any form of academic dishonesty will only hinder the student's academic pursuits and growth. Unfortunately, I mean, I hate catching students cheat, but I'm trying to hold them accountable to the expectations of the course, and I really would appreciate your support in doing so. Study aids. I work well. I work with students to try to develop a note taking and study skills that will help them proceed and or succeed in this class. And I've already started doing that. And I focus there's not on the idea or the concept that there's not one right way to take notes. Everybody's a little bit different. And I'm encouraging them and challenging them to try to find which way works best for them for both studying and taking notes. So I've introduced them to a variety of ways to take notes first few days of school, and I'm following up with students to see. So, for example, I asked a student today in a mini Zoom group um, a question, and he was like, "I can't remember. I swear I did the reading, but I can't remember." And I asked if he took notes on the reading, and he said, "Well, no, they don't help." And I was like, "Well, not taking notes doesn't help. So let's try to find middle ground and find something that might help you remember and keep up with the material." So I really work hard on that. There are review books you can buy. They're intended to help students prepare for the test. I will say that there's some writing suggestions in those books that go contrary to what I've been taught by the College Board, and some things that are done in the essays would not get a point on the essay. So you have to be careful. The students that struggle reading it, keeping up with reading a college textbook, really appreciate the crash course AP European History Review book. I don't have one with me, but it breaks down and simplifies the main concepts of the chapter. So I would, if you choose to get one of these, I would recommend doing that. Reading it like towards the end is like a review of everything. It's like a summary. The only thing that I would warn you, whatever one you purchase, make sure it's after the 2016 2017 rewrite, which most should be. If you have an older sibling, cousin, whatever that took this class 10 years ago, any study aids they have will not be aligned with the current test. So that's just something to keep in mind. Okay, my philosophy and approach. First of all, I should have started off with this. Normally, I do this in a lecture hall with parents, and I do about 3 sessions so everyone fits. But I love teaching this class. I love the content. I think it's really interesting, and it's a lot of history that most students have not been exposed to before. Second thing is I love it because I love teaching sophomores because when they start, they're really freshmen and they don't really know what's going on. But by the end of this class, they're gonna walk out or log off and be college students able to write a really well supported, well argued essay, analyze documents well, and it's just a really fun process to be a part of. When I go into this class, I am very proud. I showed you a few slides ago at the beginning. I'm very proud of how many students take my class and how many students pass because there are students, many of the students that pass with really high scores, like fives and fours. There was a point in the year where they're like, I can't do this. This is too hard. And I refuse to believe that anyone, I'm going to butcher that, too many double negatives. I believe that anybody can pass the test no matter what. If you put in the work and you follow, the guidelines of studying and reading and things, anybody can pass the test. And I'm operating every day that everyone will pass the test. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. And I know, again, it's not all about the test, but that's the finish line. So we're working towards that. And I'm confident they pass the test, they'll have the skills, to succeed in college history classes. Um, Scores are not everything, but they do provide a clear goal to strive. That's the finish line. All students are capable of performing at a high level. I will do everything I can to help them succeed. I email students. I try to email every night after 8. If you email me, the virtual learning's tough because I have two young kids that are home, and they don't necessarily understand that I'm working. They think of me as ignoring them during the day. So like when 3 o'clock rolls around, I need to go spend time with my kids. So I usually don't get to responding to emails till about 8 p.m. But I will do everything I can to help students. I'll have office hours early, late, whatever. Normally, I open my classroom at lunch, and any students can come in. I usually have like different study groups come in before zero period because some students say I can't come in because I have whatever going on. Whatever the case may be, I want to help, and I want to do everything I can to help the students pass and learn and gain confidence in improving their skills. That comes along with improving their skills. I'm going to do my best to hold students accountable all year for watching videos, doing the reading and things. It's a little bit more challenging, different. It looks different online, but I'm trying. And I really believe that history should be engaging and fun. I It's just something that I believe in. It's part of the core reason why I became a teacher. And I tell my students this on the first day. I'm going to work my tail off for them, and I expect them to work their tails off for themselves. So that's kind of my philosophy or approach to the class. If you ever have any questions, let me know. I do want to go over the modification or plan for this class. So I've had a lot of friends, and neighbors and whatnot say, how are you doing the virtual learning? Are you just going to sit in front of the Zoom and lecture all day? And a bunch of questions like that. Last year, I had a great group of students, and they were, as all of our students were, they were kind of thrown into the COVID tornado, whatever you want to call it, in terms of education. We weren't sure how long we were going to be out. I was telling students to turn in the work when we get back. Then it was announced we're not going to be back, and all these things are outside of our control. And I gave I think 2 or 3 surveys from students at different points saying like what's working, what's not working. What do you wish you could tell all teachers? What would you take off? What would you change? What do you like? What works well? And they gave really good feedback. So I used that in coming up with it when I found out we were going to start the year virtually. I worked with that to try to come up with a plan that I thought would put students in the best position to succeed and not burn them out right away. I came up with a plan and I chose 12 students of varying abilities from last year that experienced my class in the physical classroom, as well as on the virtual. And I said, hey, what do you think about this plan? Give me feedback, honest feedback. And they give me amazing feedback, like amazing. So here's what I came up with, or I should say, what we came up with. On Mondays, I'm going to have a mini lecture explaining the plan for the week. I'm going to be going over topics and skills. Mondays for me are the hardest day because I'm literally in front of the computer the entire day, and there's not a whole lot of variance because as soon as you get done with one class, another class starts, and I'm sure the students feel the same way. So I'm doing a mini lecture explaining the plan for the week, introduction of the topics or skills we're going to be going over, any reminders, and I will try to do a little like maybe a story or something like, hey, wait till you read about this guy, and so the students are kind of hooked, or in theory they're going to be hooked. I will also be posting a YouTube video focusing on the skill of the week. This is going to be dominant, or the way I'm going to be doing it the first 5 to 10 weeks. And then as the year goes on, it'll probably be more review. I'll post something that's like a review of stuff we've already done. I asked them to watch the skill of the week. I'm trying to keep them around 10 to 15 minutes. Um, and the idea is they can go back and rewatch it later. So if we have a short answer question on Unit 4, whenever the Unit 4 test is, they will be able to go back and rewatch the video on how to write an SAQ to refresh their memory. So that's why I'm trying to build a library of resources. Google form, I'm going to give them a Google form with questions pertaining to the skill from the previous week. So whatever the skill that we worked on the week before, there will be a Google form where they can practice it. So we did short answer questions. Well, we actually did thesis writing, something else. So I might have 2 skills on Monday's Google form so that they can kind of practice applying the skills that they worked on the previous week, and I can give them feedback. I'm planning on posting good examples, mediocre examples, and examples that need improvement with explanations why, anonymous, of course, on my website so that students can go and see what the expectations are and avoid the common mistakes that students make. I haven't got there yet, but I will. Block days. So we've been doing this today and yesterday, the first day, really. Video lecture around 15 minutes focusing on content. So I'm going to try to keep it under 15. Sometimes I'll go over, but I'm trying to keep it very focused. A lot of information in a 15-minute span. So students can go watch it, pause it, take notes, read it, look up something, whatever they need to do. That's going to be posted at least the day before. There's going to be a Zoom lecture between 30 to 45 minutes focusing on content and the application of skills. So this is the synchronous learning that you saw with the district plan. Then one of the things that feedback came back overwhelmingly was that high school students, my students, did not do well sitting in a Zoom meeting for over an hour. They lose focus. It's hard to pay attention. They want to get up and walk around. They check their phone, stuff like that. And they said that the threshold that they could handle is about 30, 45 minutes. So what I decided to do is create Zoom mini groups. So I'm sitting in front of the computer nonstop all day, but like I can handle it. I think I have groups of about 8ish students that will meet for about 12 minutes, depending on how long the Zoom lecture is. What I do is I literally look at when the class ends, I divide it by 5. There's 5 groups, and then we meet. And I go over. I've been trying to get to know them a little bit. We do some practice stuff, really short, quick fires. We'll go over thesis practice. We're going to do document analysis tomorrow. And it gives me an opportunity to work with students and see if someone is struggling or give everyone a voice within the classroom. That overwhelmingly, my students last year said that in a class of 40 on Zoom, they don't feel comfortable speaking. So I'm trying to give that, like, balance it out. And then the final thing is they should be doing reading guide questions and reading assignment posted daily. That's every day of the class, including Mondays. So what I've tried to do is during a block day, they'll be in front of me for about 30 minutes to maybe an hour, but probably not that long, probably around 45 minutes, give or take, and then total. And then they will have time in the rest of the class to either watch the video that I posted or work on the reading guide questions. So I hope that makes sense. I really thought it was important for you to understand where I came up with these modifications. It's based off of feedback I've gotten from students that I really respect because of the work that they put in both in the classroom and outside of the classroom last year. If you have any questions about any of this, again, please email me. I'd be happy to answer. Um, this is something that I included on the syllabus this year. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm much better at looking at what happened in the past history than I am at predicting what's going to happen in the future. If the College Board announces a change in testing format or date, which they did last year, I will update the syllabus accordingly as well as assessments. When they announced it last year, I think I emailed my students that night, and by the next day of class, I had a new plan. It was like, get rid of what we were doing. This is what we're doing now to get ready for the AP test. I'm pretty confident that I would be able to roll with the punches, as it were, when that comes up. But I will be issuing an addendum to the syllabus. If we go back to school, if COVID disappears tomorrow and we go back to school, I will change it and we'll do more multiple choice, and we'll probably get rid of the Zoom. The Zoom. Well, we would get rid of the Zooms the way that we're currently doing it. So any major changes, I will add an addendum and amend the syllabus. Please check Google Classroom regularly, especially at the beginning of a new unit, because I will post the reading guide. You feel free to print the reading guide. If it doesn't work, let me know and I can send you one, or have your students print it from their account. But it does have everything that we're doing for the unit. Please use email to communicate with me, especially I'm not in a classroom, so I could set up a Google phone number. If you'd like to have a conversation, I can, but I would prefer communicating via email. I try really hard and I take pride in responding to emails. If you don't hear back from me with a day or so, um, it's probably would give me about 2 days. It's probably because I saw the email on my Apple Watch, and I don't like responding to emails on that. So I just didn't get to it on the computer. So no hard feelings. I'm not trying to avoid you. That's just kind of the reality of it. Thank you for coming to my virtual meeting. I hope people were able to watch this. I hope they were able to watch this. If not, you're going to be getting an email with the link. Um, thank you very much, and I think that's it.